Well, I'm going to do a little tent maintenance here, some waterproofing. And this is actually for, well, it's for anything. It's actually for shoes, camp dry, tents, you name it, man, anything. So probably one can will do. The other thing is, you know, it's probably good to keep on hand for a tent is a Speedy Stitcher. You know, it works for like heavy duty clothes, like you got some cami utilities, like, you know, left over from military. This sews up really strong. You can't break this thread really with your hands. I mean, you could probably put your whole body weight on it and break it or something, but it's strong as all hell. It's designed to go through leather, and you just make a stitch at a time. You can go through like 12 layers of denim like nothing. And if you ever need to make a patch on that tent, you can do it. Now, also keep a bunch of what do you call it, tent pins around here. You see these here. Now these, you can use these with a little loop, but you'd have to have loops on the where the grommets are, and you'll be able to fit these through. But I like using these little pins because they got this big wide thing on the top and they're orange, and you know, they just go up really quick. This tent probably took 10 minutes to put up. Kind of like this tent. I had it a long time, probably 40 years, more than 45, 50 years or something like that. It's been more than 45 years, way more. So we're going to use the old KIWI heavy duty water repellent. And this tent still, I can smell it's got water repellent on it. But just douse it down really good. Kind of like painting. And best thing is to have it all set up, because the air is going to dry this off. Might get a little rain later on, then I'll have to let it dry some more, but and it's a great tent because it's simple. It's not that freaking nylon plastic shit, which I don't like. It's got that little thing in the back. You can kind of opens up the back for your head or your feet. Usually I put my head back there if it's cold. If it's warm out, I have my heads towards the door, when I used to use this a million years ago. But you know, I figured to get this out, and I got a lot of cans of this stuff because I do all my boots with it. But you really can't, you know, you really can't tell what it does, but you just know it's more waterproof. Kind of hard to reach up there on the top, but I'll get that. It's not a problem. I get it from the front. I get it from the front and get the back side, because it's got such an angle from the back. It's just kind of hard to reach up there. It's got a 6-foot height where the pole is, so you can kind of stand up in this thing and get dressed, you know, which is cool. I mean, it's like you can crouch down. I mean, 6 feet means it's 6 feet right at that point. And you can see the pole comes out through that grommet, so the pole never will damage the tent itself, because it's going through a grommet. It's all doubled up there. Yeah, you know, it's like you forget about doing this kind of shit, and you keep it in storage and you forget about it, and then when you go to use it someday and you need it, you want to make sure everything works, right? And the other thing is those pins. These pins are definitely worth getting. The ones that are like, it's good to have several kinds of pins too, but probably the smallest, lightest weight ones are these, just the ones that are real narrow, and you can just step on them and push them in there. I didn't really put this up really tight, but and I'm not sure if I'm going to get every spot on here, because it does work. It doesn't leak water. Damn thing's in good condition for like 50 years old or something. It's about 50 years old almost. Always talking about all these disasters going to happen and shit. You never know, you might need a tent. Hopefully I don't ever need a tent. I got a chainsaw. I can cut a lot of trees down, and I got a 20 by 30 tarp, and extra heavy duty, and I got other tarps too. That's another thing to keep on hand. A lot of tarps. Man, you can make a lot of shit with that. And actually, I know like in the military, some of the best tents were like the Baker tents, back to back, 2 Baker tents back to back with heart size. And you make a frame for that tent out of wood, and you know you can make the wood out of with chainsaw. You know, you can just cut up some lumber and put the damn thing together. And you know, that's really all you need to do. I mean, you don't need to have it like perfection, like you know, inspected by the county or something like that. You know, the building inspector come by. It's just got to work. Because actually, there's not a hell of a lot to making a shelter. And as long as you got a frame, as long as you got a good framework with some reinforcements on it. Like I'll show you, like actually I did a lot of stuff, and I'll show you over by my fence. And sometimes you just use like the earth itself to reinforce things. Like if you're you're using tent material and tarps and wood, you use the earth itself, because the earth itself, see, if there's a lot of wind, it'll redirect it. See, it'll redirect it over the tent. You see, this tent I like because it doesn't have I mean, straight sides got an advantage because it's like a room, but this tent will deflect wind very well. It's kind of like a modified teepee. A little lower than a teepee. The one side that's the danger area is the side where the door is, but even that has, especially near the top, it's like it has a wind deflector. This thing would probably only take 1 can. So probably I didn't even use a can up. I got a bunch of these cans. I keep a lot of these around. It's called Camp Dry by KIWI. It's really for anything. Shoes, tents. You see a picture on there right there, tents and shoes. It's good for like those jungle boots that, you know, you might want to fill up sometimes the jungle boots, they're great for out in the jungle, but sometimes that little hole they got for draining the water, you don't like that. I don't like that. I'll seal them up. Then you can take the cloth part and spray this on it, and then they're all waterproof all over. And they work like regular boots, and they're still got the nice lightweight top. But I like the jungle boots because they're nice and lightweight. They're almost like, they're almost like running shoes. And so I'll probably finish this can up, and I'll show you what I mean. And also, like I said, again, I know I'm repeating myself. Make sure you get enough different types of tent stakes. I mean, yeah, you can make them out of wood. I mean, I got my K-bar knife and all that kind of stuff. I can make stuff. But it is a lot more convenient to have these. And make sure you get them in nice bright colors. If you're doing something like this, you could probably hook this through the grommet if you can get it down far enough. And this way you don't have to use a cord on it like this. So these are a little bit too big for the grommets, but they're still pretty good because, you know, you got the string on here. And sometimes you want that. If it's too hot, you want the tent up off the ground a little bit. And, you know, one way to do that is with, you know, other types of stakes like this, where you can have it a little bit higher up. You leave a couple inch gap on the bottom. That's like the old teepee thing, principle from the Indians. And again, I love this Speedy Stitcher, man. I use this on my Jeep top a lot, on the side curtains. There was various things I repaired with it. Some leather stuff on a bike. I think it was the saddlebags. And, you know, the leather was good, but the stitching kind of screwed up. And this thing, I kept the leather really good with a lot of, you know, I think it was snowproofing I called it. And that's what I put on it. This is, like I said, this is a damn good thing. This is an indispensable tool for awnings, tents, sails, handbags, upholstery, auto tops. Yeah, I should use it on the auto top, man. I don't feel like changing that auto top, man. That's too much work. I need to change it. I've just been repairing it. It's still good though. So let me show you something else I do with to make stuff more fortified out of a makeshift structure. I don't know if this camera is doing it justice, but this is little Putin the cat's place where he hangs out. Sometimes when I bring him out here, it's his cat fence. But to make this a lot stronger against hurricanes, I built the earth up about 2 feet, coming up this way. So, and this is all pressure treated. It's been double stained up with, you know, they call it, I don't know, the 15-year stain, the solid stain, the good stuff, flood brand. And you know, this kind of wood is designed to, you know, go underground too. So it's a board-on-board fence. But you know, with the earth, so if the wind comes this way, it's going to kind of deflect some of it. It's going to give it a little bit of a head start, a running head start, to go like that up and over, hopefully. So, you know, like if you make, see, this is actually in here. This is just a what do you call it? A tarp. It's a 20 by 30 or something. And you know, the reason I did that is because, you know, it's a temporary structure. It's not, you know, problem with a building code. And you see how I made my fence here. But you see, if you had to make an emergency structure, I think this would probably hold up. This probably hold up better than the houses around here. See, this is every 2 feet, 160 pounds of concrete and ground. You got 3 2x4s as a header. These are 2x6s. But if you get a lot of wind, you know, the wind doesn't go down. It doesn't go down. It goes across. Actually, it probably won't affect this shit. It'll probably just blow straight over it. And this actually is fairly watertight in here. So you know, you even got a little extension cord. You see, if you were in an emergency situation, you can make something like this as long as you got this tarp for the roof. The hardest thing is making a damn roof. As long as you got that tarp, and you got a chainsaw, and also I got my electric chainsaw that I can run off my inverter with the battery. You know, if I don't have enough fuel for the other one. So, you know, if you run it, if you're running your car, and you got the inverter on the car with the alternator pumping some juice in the inverter through the battery, that inverter actually puts out a lot more juice. So you can use your electric chainsaw, and sometimes I like that because it's a lot more quiet. I don't like people knowing what the hell you're doing, especially if it's an emergency. You know, you're running the generator and they're fucking like they'll be coming over bugging you for shit, right? So that's another tip. I mean, if you make a temporary structure, get a lot of earth up on it on the side. And even if you got wood that rots, don't worry about it, because it's, like I said, it's probably going to last a good year or two. And you know, from there, by that time, you know, you'll be worried about food and water and shit like that. So that's something to, you know, keep in mind. So, you know, I just did a little quick update on there, waterproofing the tent. And also, I'm going to tell you something else I did with this. This side of this tarp, you notice it's black. There's probably a couple little dots over here you can see through there. But what I did was I wound up painting it because when they made this, they kind of made a defect on this side. There wasn't enough vinyl over the cloth, and this side held up. This was good. This side was showing a lot of wear. It wasn't. They didn't put enough coating on it. The quality was like right. They must have been at the end of the roll when they were doing the vinyl coating. So what I did was I painted the tarp. Then I used rubberized undercoating in any other spots that, you know, I thought needed to be taken care of, like you can see over here. And it actually did a good job. Hardly any water comes through this thing at all. Very, very little. So that's a good idea too. You know, any kind of outdoor paint or rubberized undercoating over your tarp will make that tarp last a lot longer. You can see how it is over here. This is like, you see how that's what was going on with it. The one part when they started making a new roll on it, which was the other half, it's no problem. They didn't put enough freaking vinyl material on the outside of this cloth over right at the end of the roll where they made my particular two halves. And I didn't notice this till a year later. But I found out something. Just paint the damn tarp. Just paint it. That's all you got to do. Paint it, undercoat it, tar it, and actually, if you know, one of the big problems with tarps is that you're exposed to UV rays. Now if you put a good paint on there that's lasting the sun, well, guess what, you're just protecting that tarp that much longer. And you know, my tarp is actually just protecting my Jeep. You know, a little dusty, but that's all. Well, Jeep, it's a Suzuki SJ413 four-wheel drive with a locker in the back. You know, it's basically a stocker, but it's got some snow tires on it, that's all. Anyway, so let's start putting out some more videos like this, because you know, and I'll probably put out a politically incorrect one here pretty soon right after this. You know, there you go.